Have you ever wondered why fairy tales have survived for centuries, captivating generation after generation? What if I told you that behind every beloved story lies a treasure trove of wisdom that could transform how you navigate life's challenges? Today, we're diving deep into one of literature's most influential collections, the Brothers Grimm Fairy Tales. And I guarantee you'll never look at these stories the same way again. The Brothers Grimm Fairy Tales stands as one of humanity's most enduring literary achievements, fundamentally reshaping how we understand storytelling, culture, and the human psyche. Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, German philologists and cultural researchers, embarked on an ambitious journey in the early 19th century to preserve the oral traditions of Germanic folklore before they vanished forever. What began as an academic endeavour to document disappearing cultural heritage transformed into a collection that would influence literature, psychology, and popular culture for generations. Published initially in 1812 as Kinder- und Hausmärchen, Children's and Household Tales, this collection represents far more than simple entertainment. The Grimm brothers had meticulously gathered these stories from storytellers across German-speaking regions, recognising that oral traditions carry profound cultural DNA within their narratives. Their work coincided with the Romantic movement's emphasis on folk culture and national identity, making their collection both a literary milestone and a cultural preservation project. The tales within this collection reveal universal themes that transcend cultural boundaries. The triumph of good over evil, the importance of perseverance, the consequences of greed, and the transformative power of courage. These stories operate on multiple levels simultaneously, as entertainment for children, as moral instruction for society, and as psychological frameworks for understanding human behaviour. The Brothers Grimm created a bridge between ancient wisdom and modern consciousness, ensuring that timeless truths would continue influencing future generations through accessible, memorable narratives. The Brothers Grimm Fairy Tales encompasses over 200 stories that collectively map the entire spectrum of human experience through symbolic narrative. These tales emerged from centuries of oral tradition, refined through countless retellings until they achieved their essential, powerful forms. The collection includes world-renowned stories like Cinderella, Snow White, Hansel and Gretel, Rapunzel, and Rumpelstiltskin, alongside lesser-known gems that reveal equally profound insights about human nature and societal dynamics. Each story functions as a compressed lesson in navigating life's complexities. The protagonists typically face seemingly insurmountable obstacles: evil stepmothers, dangerous forests, magical curses, or impossible tasks. Yet through combination of courage, cleverness, kindness, and often supernatural assistance, they overcome these challenges and achieve transformation. The antagonists represent various forms of destructive human impulses: vanity, greed, jealousy, cruelty, and abuse of power. The stories consistently reward virtue while punishing vice, creating clear moral frameworks that help societies transmit ethical values across generations. However, the Grimm brothers' versions often contain darker elements than modern adaptations, reflecting the harsh realities of medieval life and the serious consequences of moral failings. Characters face genuine danger, experience real suffering, and must demonstrate authentic courage to achieve their goals. The collection reveals sophisticated understanding of psychology, particularly regarding family dynamics, social hierarchies, and personal development. Many tales explore themes of abandonment, transformation, and the journey from innocence to maturity. The magical elements serve not merely as fantasy, but as metaphors for psychological processes, spiritual growth, and the mysterious forces that shape human destiny. The Brothers Grimm Fairy Tales presents numerous pivotal episodes that illuminate fundamental aspects of human experience and moral development. Understanding these key events reveals the deeper wisdom embedded within seemingly simple stories. Cinderella's transformation represents one of literature's most powerful illustrations of perseverance rewarded. The protagonist endures years of mistreatment from her stepfamily, maintaining kindness and dignity despite constant humiliation. Her magical transformation for the ball symbolises how inner virtue eventually manifests in external recognition. The glass slipper test demonstrates that true identity cannot be faked or stolen. Authentic character ultimately reveals itself. This story teaches that patience, kindness, and maintaining hope during difficult circumstances eventually lead to recognition and reward. Snow White's journey explores themes of jealousy, beauty, and the transition from childhood to adulthood. The evil queen's obsession with being the fairest represents how vanity corrupts the soul and leads to self-destruction. Snow White's refuge with the seven dwarfs symbolises finding sanctuary and purpose through honest work and genuine relationships. The poisoned apple incident illustrates how evil often disguises itself as temptation, requiring wisdom to recognize and resist. Her resurrection through true love's kiss represents the transformative power of authentic connection and the triumph of life over death. Hansel and Gretel's adventure addresses fundamental fears about survival, resourcefulness, and family loyalty. The children's abandonment in the forest represents how economic hardship can strain family bonds and force difficult decisions. Hansel's trail of breadcrumbs demonstrates intelligent planning, while Gretel's cleverness in defeating the witch shows how apparent weakness can become strength through ingenuity. The gingerbread house symbolises how temptation can mask danger, teaching the importance of maintaining vigilance even when circumstances appear favourable. Rapunzel's imprisonment and liberation explore themes of control, freedom, and the power of love to overcome obstacles. Her confinement in the tower represents how overprotective or controlling relationships stunt personal growth. The prince's willingness to climb her hair demonstrates the lengths authentic love will travel to reach its object. Rapunzel's eventual blindness and healing symbolise how true love sees beyond surface appearances and possesses healing power. Rumpelstiltskin reveals the dangers of making promises without considering consequences and the importance of keeping one's word. The miller's daughter faces impossible demands, spinning straw into gold, representing how people sometimes find themselves in situations beyond their capabilities. Rumpelstiltskin's assistance comes with a terrible price, illustrating how shortcuts often create larger problems. The protagonist's cleverness in discovering his name demonstrates that knowledge and persistence can overcome seemingly impossible situations. The Frog Prince explores themes of transformation, keeping promises, and looking beyond surface appearances. The princess's initial revulsion toward the frog represents how superficial judgments prevent us from recognizing true worth. Her reluctant fulfillment of promises teaches that honor requires following through on commitments even when inconvenient. The frog's transformation into a prince symbolizes how treating others with respect and kindness can reveal their hidden potential. Little Red Riding Hood examines the importance of wisdom, obedience, and recognizing danger. The protagonist's journey through the forest represents life's journey with its potential hazards. The wolf's deception illustrates how evil often disguises itself as friendliness or concern. Red Riding Hood's rescue by the huntsman demonstrates how communities must protect their vulnerable members, and that help often arrives when most needed. The Brothers Grimm Fairy Tales offers profound insights that remain remarkably relevant for contemporary readers seeking guidance in personal development, relationships, and ethical decision-making. Character development through adversity emerges as a central theme throughout the collection. Nearly every protagonist faces significant challenges that initially seem overwhelming: abandonment, persecution, impossible tasks, or dangerous enemies. However, these difficulties serve as catalysts for growth rather than merely obstacles to overcome. The stories consistently demonstrate that facing hardship with courage and integrity develops strength, wisdom, and resilience. Modern readers can apply this principle by reframing personal challenges as opportunities for character development rather than simply problems to solve. The power of persistence and hope shines through multiple narratives. Cinderella endures years of mistreatment while maintaining her kind nature. The 12 dancing princesses continue their mysterious nightly journeys despite their father's attempts to discover their secret. These stories teach that maintaining hope and continuing effort during difficult periods eventually leads to positive outcomes. This lesson proves particularly valuable for contemporary audiences facing long-term challenges in careers, relationships, or personal goals. Authentic relationships triumph over superficial connections throughout the collection. The most meaningful transformations occur when characters see beyond surface appearances to recognize true worth. The Beast's transformation occurs only when Belle loves him despite his frightening exterior. The Frog Prince changes only when the princess treats him with respect rather than disgust. These stories emphasize that lasting relationships require looking beyond immediate impressions to discover genuine character and potential. The consequences of moral choices receive consistent attention throughout the tales. Good actions lead to positive outcomes, while selfish or cruel behaviour inevitably results in punishment. However, the stories avoid simplistic moralizing by showing that ethical choices often require sacrifice and courage. The consequences feel natural rather than arbitrary, teaching readers that moral behaviour creates its own rewards while destructive actions generate their own punishments. The importance of community support appears repeatedly in the collection. Cinderella receives help from her fairy godmother, Snow White finds refuge with the dwarfs, and Hansel and Gretel survive through mutual support. These stories demonstrate that individual achievement rarely occurs in isolation. Success typically requires assistance, cooperation, and belonging to supportive communities. Modern readers can apply this wisdom by cultivating meaningful relationships and offering support to others facing challenges. Inner transformation precedes external change in virtually every story. Characters must first develop courage, wisdom, or compassion before their external circumstances improve. The ugly duckling must accept his true nature before becoming a beautiful swan. This principle suggests that lasting change requires internal development rather than merely altering external conditions, a lesson particularly relevant for contemporary self-improvement efforts. The stories consistently illustrate that true power comes from service rather than domination. The most successful characters use their abilities to help others rather than exploit them. Queens and kings who abuse their power face downfall, while humble characters who serve others eventually receive recognition and reward. This teaching challenges the contemporary assumptions about success and power, suggesting that influence grows through contribution rather than control. Wisdom often comes disguised as weakness or simplicity throughout the collection. The youngest child frequently succeeds where older siblings fail. Apparently helpless characters like Gretel defeat seemingly powerful enemies through cleverness. These reversals teach that conventional assessments of strength and weakness may be inaccurate. True capability often lies hidden beneath humble appearances. The Brothers Grimm Fairy Tales represents far more than a collection of children's stories. It constitutes a comprehensive guide to human nature, moral development, and the timeless principles that govern meaningful existence. Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm preserved not merely entertaining narratives, but profound wisdom that has guided human civilization for centuries. Their work demonstrates how stories function as vehicles for transmitting essential truths across generations, ensuring that vital knowledge survives changing circumstances and cultural shifts. These tales remain perpetually relevant because they address fundamental aspects of human experience that transcend historical periods or cultural boundaries. The challenges faced by Cinderella, Snow White, and Hansel and Gretel mirror the obstacles contemporary readers encounter in their own lives. The solutions and transformations depicted in these stories offer practical guidance for navigating modern challenges while maintaining ethical integrity and personal authenticity. The collection's enduring influence on literature, psychology, and popular culture testifies to its fundamental accuracy in depicting human nature and moral development. From Disney adaptations to psychological analysis, from academic study to therapeutic applications, these stories continue generating insights and inspiration. They remind us that beneath surface complexity lies essential simplicity, that courage, kindness, persistence, and wisdom ultimately triumph over destructive forces, and that transformation remains possible for anyone willing to embrace growth and face challenges with integrity.